Welcome back. The details. Egypt condemned in the strongest terms the Israeli occupation forces' outrageous, irresponsible and unacceptable statements regarding the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which incites against the kingdom and call for the establishment of a Palestinian state on the Saudi territories. Egypt asserted that these proposals violate the Saudi sovereignty and constitute a violation of international law and the United Nations Charter. In the statement, Egypt expressed its complete rejection of what it described as reckless remarks that undermine the security and sovereignty of the kingdom and affirmed its full solidarity with Saudi Arabia, called upon the international community to condemn the irresponsible Israeli remarks. Egypt also stressed that Saudi Arabia's security is a red line that it will not allow to be crossed, adding that the stability and national security of the Saudi kingdom is part and parcel of the security and stability of Egypt and the whole Arab nation.
Minister of Foreign Migration and Egyptian Expatriates Affairs Badr Abdulati held a number of phone calls with counterparts from Portugal, Hungary, Uganda, Mozambique and Seychelles. Egypt's top diplomat discussed with the ministers Middle East developments and ways of boosting mutual relations in various domains. Here are more details.
To Egypt's Rafah border crossing, which continued to receive Palestinian patients and injured for treatment in Egypt, the 7th group arrived at the cross on Saturday. A source at Rafah border crossing said that 10 injured Palestinians arrived with a number of relatives. The source added that 50 patients and injured are due to arrive at the crossing and then distributed among hospitals to receive treatment. They will be referred to hospitals in Al-Arish, Sheikh Zouayed, Bir al-Abd, as well as hospitals in Ismailia, Al-Sharqiyya, Banha and Cairo, according to their medical status. Minister of Foreign, Migration and Egypt Expats Affairs Badr Abdulati held a separate phone calls with counterparts from Portugal, Paulo Ranger, Uganda, Henry Oremokelo, Peter Siziato of Hungary, and Mozambique Maria Manuela Lucas, and Seychelles Sylvester Radigondi. During all phone talks, Abdulati renewed the firm Egyptian stance toward the Palestinian cause, which is the ultimate support of the Palestinian people to have their independent Palestinian state with Al-Quds as its capital on the borders of the 4th of June 1967, according to the principles of international legitimacy and the full rejection of displacing the Palestinians out of their lands. With his Portuguese counterpart, Abdulati hailed Portugal's support to Egypt inside the European Union, highlighting that February 25th marks 50 years since the resumption of bilateral diplomatic ties. Hence, it's an opportunity to boost cooperation, especially in the economic and investment domains. With Siziato of Hungary, Abdulati expressed Egypt's will to enhance cooperation with Hungary in the field of industry and hailed the parliamentarian ties that bind the two nations. The calls with African counterparts tackled means of enhancing bilateral relations in various fields, as well as the preparations to hold the next African Union summit and files regarding boosting the work of the Union and institutional reform.
Palestinian resistance group Hamas on Saturday handed over 3 Israeli captives, and Israel began freeing dozens of Palestinians in the latest stage of a ceasefire aimed at ending the war in Gaza. In another show of force by Hamas, which has paraded fighters during previous releases, dozens of its fighters deployed in central Gaza as it handed captives over to the International Committee of the Red Cross. The hostages were then driven in ICRC cars to Israeli forces and into Israel and flown to hospitals. In exchange for the captives' release, Israel was freeing 183 Palestinians as well as 111 detained in Gaza during the war.
Egypt welcomed on Saturday the Lebanese presidency's statement on forming a new government. Egypt's foreign ministry said in a statement that the step would help achieve security and stability in the Arab country. Details follow.
Lebanon formed a new government on Saturday following unusually direct U.S. intervention in the process and in a step intended to bring the country closer to accessing reconstruction funds following a devastating war between Israel and Hezbollah. Speaking to reporters at the presidential palace, new Prime Minister Nawaf Salam said the 24-member cabinet would prioritize financial reforms, reconstruction and the implementation of a United Nations resolution seen as a cornerstone to stability on the Lebanese border with Israel. The announcement came after more than 3 weeks of talks with rival political parties in Lebanon, but Washington has pushed back against Hezbollah's sway in any new government. Hezbollah's ally Amal, which is headed by Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri, was allowed to choose 4 of the new cabinet's members, including the Finance Minister Yassin Jabir, and give its nod of approval to a 5th statement, a broad outline of the upcoming government's approach and priorities, and will then need a vote of confidence from Lebanon's parliament to be fully empowered. Lebanese President Joseph Aoun, who enjoyed U.S. backing as army commander, was elected as president on January the 9th and nominated Salam to form a new government days later. Salam had been serving as the head of the International Court of Justice. Salam's nomination was the latest signal of a dramatic shift in the power balance in Lebanon.